Hi, Dylan Morrison here. Welcome to the 18th blog talk in my Desire series entitled Healing, the Spirit-Soul Reunion Waltz. Learning to live outside the skewed mimetic desire field, realigned with divine freedom, is a process, one that takes place under the close tutelage of the other, as it gently nudges us towards the fullness of its recently revealed queendom space. Even the early followers of Yeshua, a group surely comprising of psychically screwed up folk like ourselves, took a very long time to finally get it, though I suspect that even they often lapse back into the old religious sacrificial paradigms of their religious upbringing. Sometimes just following Yeshua and divine mimesis proved far too simple for their zealous, wounded religious egos. In this talk, I wish to look at the nature of healing, one of the surprising ways that divine love pops up during our journey into experiential wholeness. Our skewed desire center is the cause of much of our inner and indeed outer pain, drawing us into the minefield of another's desire and its resulting rivalry. Psycho-spiritual wounding is almost certain to occur. The fragmented, survival mode psyche soul that ensues with its defensive mission of warding off future attacks is paradoxically the source of our inner pain. Fight or flight is our wounded soul's dualistic mantra and personal mission statement. We wander through this vale of tears, expecting an attack at any moment. It's hard to be at peace in the trenches of interpersonal rivalry. Now onto our tortuous path steps the one who calls us into the imitative freedom of desire realignment, the source of all desire energy, the other whose liberating desire frequency we were created to tune into. Such an initial and often dramatic encounter is our first experience of inner healing with a capital H. The psycho-spiritual effects of such an encounter with the divine model, the one who simply asks us to follow, are often quite startling. Indeed, an authentic born-again connection that reinstates the divine spark of human spirit as the one to lead us back into wholeness and psychological freedom. Following such a conversion or awakening experience, we usually float on a transcendent psychic cloud for some time, before finally returning to earth with a bump, realizing that the old mimetic desire matrix still exerts a measure of gravitational pull on our poor recovering psyche. At this point, some of us give up the ghost and return disillusioned to our old mimetic paths, convinced that our transcendent encounter was merely a teasing experience, one that ultimately proved useless. Others, listening in the darkness of the void that follows their fall to earth, pick up a still small voice, one whispering to the psychic wounds within. Healing is the gradual putting together of our psyche's fragmented subpersonalities through an experiential embrace by divine love, the reunification and decommissioning of our little psychic attack dogs, those welcomed back into the divine family that has moved into the neighborhood of our self. Such a process usually begins with a dramatic spirit breath intervention, one that often follows a debilitating transpersonal crisis, yet continues often in less dramatic fashion over a period of time, as each of our wounded little selves are targeted by the divine therapist. The ups and downs of our new life, like the rhythmic waves on some therapeutic ocean, carry us closer to the psychic wholeness that we internally crave, the very bosom of the divine, as experienced by mystics throughout the ages. Slowly, we begin to see our life experiences from the divine perspective, a step-by-step journey of healing and reintegration, rather than the dangerous survival jungle as scripted by our psychic pain. All psycho-spiritual healing is a form of realignment, the reunification of our psychic being with divine love and its ceaseless desire flow, also known by countless theologians as the will or desire of God. For many of us, the latter stirs up somewhat terrifying images of a divine controller in the sky, one who dictates what we can and can't do. Yet such a false perception is a religious caricature. Rather, divine desire is the ultimate liberating energy flow, a river of desire that carries us along into its own oceanic sense of joyful being. So living in mimesis with divine love isn't the proverbial religious endurance test, but a liberation from the rivalry of humanity's skewed desire matrix. Now the little soldier boys and girls of our fortress psyche, our little subpersonalities, are graciously drawn one by one out of their painful isolation into the community of the beloved, the divine union within the garden of self. Wisdom, working as only it can, carefully selects the specific wounded one to engage with. The telltale signs of such a divine selection is the resulting kickback of the subpersonality in question. Like a tantrum-fueled infant, it suddenly goes off in one, manifesting its specialized emotion as it senses that its time is almost up. So what is the key to such a reintegration? Well, our subpersonalities love to control us from the dark depths of our lower unconscious, the psychic cellar where we store our past traumas and their associated pain. Spirit's goal is always to release our little wounded ones into the light of consciousness, embraced there by its unconditional love, whilst recognizing the vital defensive role that it has played in our psychic survival. Miraculously, the source of our inner pain is transformed in such a divine encounter, just like the Gadarene demoniac who is found sitting, clothed and in his right mind, following his confrontation with the authority of Yeshua's laser-like unconditional love. Now, once we acknowledge our repressed subpersonality, its origin, character, and modus operandi, its destructive power begins to dissipate, and it lays itself at the feet of divine love. Amazingly, the strengths of our delinquent subpersonalities can be realigned and channeled into the service of love itself. Another nail can be well and truly hammered into the coffin of psychic fragmentation and its skewed mimetic desire system. During our earthly sojourn, such a process constantly lies at the heart of our healing. In my next talk, I will examine how even such a vital and wonderful psycho-spiritual gift as healing itself can be once more requisitioned by our remaining subpersonalities in the power games of the dysfunctional desire matrix. A vital message, I reckon, for those of us dedicated to be helper healers in the communities in which we serve.